Welcome please to the JVG podcast, where these G's are gonna spread their seeds of knowledge about the league. It's flourishing with these. These funny catchers seem to be well read, esteemed and honest. Like the man himself, Jeff Van Gundy. They are high IQ, so cerebral and funny. So if you're on the bus, just border on the dunny. Listen to the
JVG NBA Tribute Show.
Hello and welcome to episode 90 of the Jeff Van Gundy Tribute Show. I started, it is our, I'm a bit nervous. I'm very nervous. It's our first video pod, and who would we rather bring in the video pod era in with than the 4-man week plus Marco? To my left is Alessio Conte. Alessio, would you like to say hi?
Hi.
To his left is Sean Gaggle. Sean, would you like to say hi?
Hello.
To my opposite is my co-host for every other episode, Marco Holden Jeffrey. Marco,
look at the camera.
Marco, would you like to say hi?
No.
And finally, last but certainly not least, the one and only Dante Boffer, Mr. Bofferman. How are we?
I'm so good. I'm so good, Lucas. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah.
I love how you disrupted like the natural order you were going on, just so you could have last but not least.
Yeah. Dante was going last for sure.
Yeah. I'm glad all these physical jokes are paying off as well.
So, which crypto are you guys investing in? No, it is a basketball podcast for any organic listeners who are watching on YouTube for the first time. And we're going to talk about the play-in and the playoffs. This lines up pretty well with me and Marco's weekly routine of recording Tuesday nights, exporting Wednesday mornings.
What time?
7 a.m. Wednesday morning. That's Australian Eastern.
I usually export it a bit before that, but yeah, it's 7 a.m. That's when it's uploaded.
That's when it's published. Do we want to start with the play-in? I
think that's always a good place to start.
Sean. East or West?
West.
Dante. 7-8 or 9-10?
Let's start with 9-10. Let's throw
Okay.
Marco a bone here. Let's throw Marco a bone. Spurs versus Pelicans. At Pelicans home court.
It is. It's at the Smoothie King Centre. the home of basketball in Louisiana.
fortress.
Yeah.
The Mecca, they call it.
Smooth Tanamo Bay.
Look. I mean, what can I really say? We're just happy to be there.
Do you reckon you'll win?
I think the Spurs are going to beat us. I think, well, even though we have been good, they've had our number pretty much all season. And I honestly do think that, there's not going to be too much to be gained off a gentleman's sweep against the Phoenix Suns if we do somehow make it through those two games. But heck, we had a good end of the season, I think we'll come into next year looking pretty good. Now, there is the tiniest, slimmest chance I think this team is good enough to beat San Antonio. And then Clippers or Minnesota, Zubats and Cat are the only two losers of the Jonas Valanciunas challenge this year. So I think it's just like a sneaky 10% chance that I would call it a double upset and make it through to the 8th seed. But I am predicting a San Antonio win.
Is DeJounte Murray playing? Because he's been out with an illness.
I think he's, game time decision type beat at the moment.
I think he played the other day, just didn't start.
Yeah.
You said that the Pelicans are happy to be there. I think that the Spurs are unhappy to be there. Because 2 months ago, they traded their second best player for essentially not a lot. And they were like, yeah, that's all right. We're throwing it in. Just wrap it up. Let's coast out. And then somehow they still have another game to play. I think you'll win.
Yeah, right.
I think you'll win. And just on that Zubac point, he has to be the most victimized player in the NBA. Any player sees Zubac guarding him, and if it's a big, he's like, I'm just gonna mash you. And if it's a guard or a wing, he's like, I'm gonna take you all the way back out and go all the way back out.
Yeah.
That sounds like something else, but
and he's still semi well rated. He's still okay.
He's good.
He's
there's something about him that people see him, and it's like there's like a switch goes off in everyone's brain. It's like I have to make this man look silly.
Oh man, JV hadn't taken more than 2 threes the entire season, and then our first game against them, he went 7 of 7 in the first half or something ridiculous. And he was just stepping out to the 3-point line. He's like, you're not going to be able to catch me. There's absolutely no way in hell. And there weren't a lot of his signature pump fakes, but he did bite on every single one.
Not to go off the Zubats chatter, but if I were to put words in your mouth, Marco, is it that Willie Green's a better coach than Greg Popovich?
See, I mean, I think it's like quite the opposite. Like,
That's pretty bold. So you want to
This season of all seasons.
but yeah, in a do or die situation, I don't think that the Spurs have anything to gain from losing that game. So like, why wouldn't they go out, give it their best? You know, there's not really a better pick for them to win from here on out, and they've really, I don't know, the Spurs looked committed to winning like this sort of last third of the season as well. You know, I don't think they were ever going to really tank. But you're right, after trading away their second best player, that is sort of an odd direction to go.
Well, once they realised the Lakers were potentially going to fall out of potentially going to gift it to them with like fucking wrapping paper and like a bow, like some wrapping paper and like some rustic string that you've got the scissors and like, you know, like stitched it so that the string kind of sits.
Pop is old, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you think that's all that spurred on there? Late season, right?
That's it. I don't have any insights, I don't have any analysis, I have vibes.
Yeah.
Do you think that either of these teams, like real talk, would win against either of the Clippers or the Timberwolves when they make it through?
No, Marco.
Yeah, let's go around the table.
No, I don't think so. Not without an injury.
No, neither.
Yeah, neither. I think that the East. I think that maybe like Atlanta could like go through against Brooklyn or Cleveland, but I don't think that either of the 9-10 in the West could do it.
Yeah.
Especially if Cleveland doesn't have Jared Allen, like they're just severely
Yeah.
undermanned.
There's also just such a you just look at the numbers, like the wins for the East playing teams are 43, 43, and 44, 44, whereas it's 34, 36, and then you jump to 42 and then 46 in the West. So it's like truly just like in different class of NBA society.
Since the CJ trade, the Pelicans have looked like a different team, but I went a little bit more like analytical with my picks for the play-in. And looking through the Pelicans roster, man, I started to lose a bit of confidence. I was like, I went to the roster and I was like, oh no, CJ McCollum's won like 4 playoff series, and most of them was that one time they made the conference finals. JV's won like 2. Brandon Ingram hasn't made the playoffs.
I'm surprised JV's won any, to be honest.
Yeah, then they canned him and then they won the ring, but more on that later. But I think 1 through 8 will make the playoffs in the West, and I'm like 99% on that. But I feel like the 9 and 10 could make some noise in the East.
Yeah, they're just like bunched. I don't think that Charlotte can defend anywhere near enough of a high level to actually like stand a chance if they were to beat Atlanta. But I reckon Atlanta can beat Cleveland or Brooklyn.
I reckon Atlanta can beat Cleveland. I'm getting a bit of the ick from Cleveland lately.
Should we maybe we're getting ourselves here? What about that other matchup in the West? Clippers Timberwolves.
Sick matchup. Go on, Sean.
I think the Clippers are going to win. Like that's my pick. The Clippers are going to win, which doesn't make it too much fun. Actually, no, it does. Sorry, that makes it much more fun because they're going to go up against Ja Morant and Memphis, which is like I think we all have that Memphis versus whoever series being like one of the most interesting ones because it's like, you know, they're still unproven. They lost in a gentleman's sweep to the Utah Jazz, and yes, they beat Golden State in the playing game to get there, but like, you know, it's still, you want to see like how much Anthony Melton and Kyle Anderson are going to hold up in the playoff series. And like Paul George just came back, he played his first game with Norman Powell, who missed a heap of time after just getting traded there. Robert Covington hit fucking 11 threes the other day, and as soon as he takes off his Portland jersey, he's all of a sudden back to being a good role player. So it's like it's all sort of coming together for the Clippers, who also might have the best coach in the whole entire league right now. So it's like, you know, Memphis, good on you for beating Golden State and getting the 2 seed.
If that's the series that eventuates, and somehow the Clippers beat Memphis, that would be the first time ever that Paul George is like on the right side of an upset in the playoffs. They literally it's probably impossible just because that's never happened in like the last 12 years. That would also be the playing game is also gonna like have like an interesting spicy Pat Bev plotline. Like he's gonna get up to something.
Yeah, he's gonna push in the back.
Yeah, he's gonna get up to something.
I don't think the Clippers are going to beat the Timberwolves. I think the 2-7 matchup though is going to be the most telling, regardless of who gets in. Even if the 9-10 get in the West, which I'm not foreseeing at all. But Mini and Memphis could beat anything. The Clippers would have a bit more continuity from seasons past. But even with Paul George, I feel like it's just not their season, which is fair enough. But yeah, Memphis, I've got winning their matchup against whoever the 7th seed is, but I'm not certain on that.
Yeah, see, I think it'll be interesting. Like, if the Clippers win that game, the 2-7 games are both like these more veteran, should really be a lot better than they are teams. I mean, no, Clippers injuries notwithstanding. Going up against younger, I mean Boston have already been to 2 conference finals in the last 4 seasons.
Jason Tatum's still only 19.
But it'll have more of that. It'll have more of that vibe of the young upstarts they're the favourites here. They've got home court advantage. They have 15 wins on the other side. But I mean, that for me also says that the Clippers and the Nets are not going to have any trouble in their 7-8 games.
Yeah. I think Memphis wins their series, even if Morant's out.
Oh,
damn.
shit.
Yeah. Ride the wave.
And he's in.
I'm right. And he's in, exactly. No, I'm riding the wave. I'm all in.
Fuck them kids. Someone's got to push
Fuck
back
them
against
kids,
them because apparently someone hates them. So
Yeah, no.
Yeah, they're just not
Andre
doing
Iguodala hates him.
he doesn't hate him. He just knows more.
I'm waiting for the Grizzlies. Yeah, now that you mentioned it, Dante, the Grizzlies Warriors series.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That'd be an amazing second round.
When Dylan Brooks dunks on Iggy. Oh my
Yeah.
god. Oh my god. I want to be there. I'll book flights to Memphis for it.
Actually, would be an amazing playoff moment.
So we're going to go off in the second round, aren't we?
What do you mean?
Is that how it goes?
Yeah,
I think you play them in round 2.
You'll play Memphis.
Oh, okay. So it does work out that we can play in the conference finals.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
As it back to your regularly scheduled program.
Well, should we go to the East playing?
Yeah, sure.
9-10 matchup. Who's watching that?
I'm at work tomorrow, sorry.
No, waiting for LaMelo highlights. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's the whole game.
That's pretty much been the Charlotte Hornets experience this season.
Yeah.
So I'll just catch the game on Instagram.
Yeah.
The Mason Bumley behind the back.
Yeah. Bridges dunk, LaMelo pass.
That's it.
Play on.
Yeah.
I think this is both the best and the worst matchup for a playing game because there'll be no defense, it'll be all offense. It'll be really, but I think it'll be really ugly. It'll be 144 to 133 or something like that.
I was going to say exactly 144 as well.
Yeah.
But to 105. I think the Hornets are going to get smoked.
But I think
The Hawks are gonna get smoked.
The Hawks are going to win.
That's exactly what the Pacers dropped on them.
Yeah. I think it's going to look exactly the same as it did last year.
Such an ugly, boring
Yeah.
game.
That was so bad.
It's terrible. And you were in the top lane, weren't you?
You know what? Let's just forget about that last season.
But
I was going to say we have 2 playing veterans here. We haven't even spoken about your experience with that. You both did your best to avoid it this year.
I seriously, at the end of that, because that Lakers Golden State game was the first, that was the best game I've seen in the past 24 months. That was just absolutely incredible. And Jordan Poole missing 2 big threes to win the game.
You never see that.
Playing it over his head for the whole entire off-season until his Most Improved Player award gets delivered to him in 76 days. But I was at the Melbourne Beer Festival for the Memphis game because I was, not that I can fucking change the festival, but I was like, it's not going to be the one to watch because we're just going to beat, again, fuck those kids. We're just going to beat them, who's this? And then so I've just when you go to a beer festival, you get the tiny little things, so you can just get tasters.
I've never been to a beer festival.
You get it's essentially shot glasses. You know what I'm talking
Like
about?
a paddle?
Yeah, paddle.
Yeah.
Paddle with heaps of shot glasses, so you can just sip on this, all these different beers. So I've had about 15 tiny little things, and then we started getting some schooners of the ones we liked. And then my mate's like, "Oh, check the score, man." I'm like, "Yeah, all right." And I check it, and I watched the last 2 minutes of Andrew Wigington just chucking up the ugliest shot. over a well contested thing. But yeah, veteran play-in watches, pretty like stark as soon as it hits you, and you're like, shit, this is like a game that just happens in an abyss, and all of a sudden your season's over. But you get so hopeful, don't you, Mark?
Yeah, you really do. I was glowing with hope just 5 minutes ago, wasn't I? Yeah, I mean, I think I've had enough disappointment already in my 3 years as a Pelicans supporter to a play-in loss will be fine. I'll deal with it.
Yeah, as the Wizards, we earned a play-in matchup against the 76ers and just lost so bad. So even if you do win, you're just coming up against like a 60-win team or something.
Yeah.
And you don't have a 60-win team that you go for.
Do you guys think? I know it's like year 2, but I don't think I like the play-in.
Oh, fucking hate it.
Yeah,
the season is 82 games.
Exactly, we're going through 82 games to win the right to get thumped by, which is what Lucas said, to get thumped by the number 1 seed.
No, but then the 8 seed and the 7 seed will just get thumped by the number 1 seed in a previous year anyway.
So let's just push it straight through.
Unless you're the 2007 Golden State Warriors.
Yeah. What was that game against? Like it was Mini versus Denver a few years ago. They were playing for the 8th seed.
Yeah.
That was the best possible version of a playing game.
Yeah.
And none of the playing games we had last year, or even the year before, because this is year 3 now, isn't it?
2. Because they did the bubble.
Yeah,
but it was like an abridged version.
Yeah. And it's like if it just so happens to fall like that, then it's going to be a historic game. But like, stop trying to force this.
But the Denver Minnesota game, that was like the first time it happened in 20 plus years.
Yeah, but that's fine. Let it happen every 20 plus years.
That's true. I've actually got a poster of that game in my room.
True.
Even though my team that I don't go for lost, and Tibbs was happy.
And they don't go.
The Warriors.
Minnesota. They won, bro.
On that note, that it's like those once in a generation situations. Sorry, glad the camera's picking this.
If you want to hear more from Dante, from do2.com.
I mean, it had its origin in like the bubble where it was like, okay, there are these many teams that are close enough to make the playoffs. Why not just have it when that happens? Or is that just too controversial? Because like, you're looking at New Orleans and San Antonio, right? Like, as you said, Dante, we're both so far behind the 7 and the 8 seed. Not only in games 1, but in like skill, in quality.
Yeah.
Whereas the Hawks and the Hornets, they're not that far behind Cleveland. Well, how Cleveland have fallen. And honestly, like, if Brooklyn have had a season like this, they're not that far behind Brooklyn. Like,
what does everyone think about sort of other proposals, like how to like spruce it up a little bit without using the playing as the top 4 seeds in order of record, like 1 through 4 get to pick their opponent from the bottom 4 seeds.
Wow.
So the number 1 seed could say like, like hypothetically this year, like Miami, the number 1 seed in the East, could say, okay, in a regular year, like we would play the 8 seed, which is Cleveland, but we'd rather play Chicago because like we can smell blood in the water. And then they just pick Chicago, which is the 6 seed. And then like the number 2 seed gets to say like, Boston gets to say, well, we match up really well with the number 7 seed rather than the number 8 seed, and then you just get to like go down. And
then Philly have to play Brooklyn in the
well, Philly would potentially start to play Toronto, which means that Matisse can't play. But that's an interesting way of doing it with that. Like, I don't know, like, it seems gimmicky, like more gimmicky than playing.
But you also get like rivalries where it's like, oh, they picked us, and then Memphis would probably get some edge off that. But you'll get people that are like, oh, you picked me.
Dylan Brooks would be so hard.
Yeah. I think that just 1 through 8 was fine.
Yeah, like they're both gimmicks at the end of the day, and like I like what you're saying. It would be really fun, but it is such a gimmick. And then that's also what the play is. Like, it could be fun, but it's a huge gimmick.
But it was made for Zion because you know how they made it,
and then for LeBron.
Yeah, but it was made just so Zion could make the playoffs in the bubble.
And we had the worst bubble run. That was talking about watching the life drain before your eyes. Like,
I literally didn't.
We had like 3 games against Sacramento and we lost them all. No offense.
I don't think any team outside the bubble in the last like 10 years has ever done that. It just does not happen.
Well, should we talk about Brooklyn, Cleveland, but more to talk about Cleveland, whoever wins 9-10?
Yeah. Is anyone picking Cleveland?
Yeah.
Because you can get out right now.
Cleveland can win the 9-10 game.
Yeah.
I think it's
but they're
tricky,
still, but they're like very.
But so can the Hawks.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
then like NBA Instagram is going to be a buzz with Trae Young takes, which is fine.
Any East team could come out in the 8th seed and they'd be like, I see it.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for like the disappointing season the Hawks have had, they've looked more like a team, like the last 10 games or something like that. Obviously, Trae Young, what did he end up averaging? Like 28 and 9.5 or something ridiculous like that. So I really think in a do or die situation he'll beat that Cleveland team, which is so sad because God, I was certain we get a proper playoff series with them.
I really hope there's no like last year's Knicks with this Cleveland team.
Oh,
Because it seems like everything's going so well, and they've got like these young players, and like the big three like Garland, Mobley, and Allen, all young and like all working together. And it's amazing, but they're in real danger of walking away with nothing from this season, which would be like a real gut punch. And then it's hard to get back next year. All of the teams that are currently in the playoffs are going to be trying to be in the playoffs next year, so there's going to be no one that's like falling out necessarily. They all have like superstars in their prime, with the exception of Toronto, really. And then like if the Hawks get better next year, like I don't know, I don't feel like Cleveland has like a necessarily like a clear cut way to be like top 6 seed next season.
So what do you think about them making you win now trade for Karis LeVert?
Oh, relax, man.
I love it.
Relax, would you?
Just looking up their opponent 3-point percentage, and it's not great, which that isn't a good sign.
No, they've still got like supreme young talent in Mobley and Darius Garland, unlike the Knicks.
Garland shouldn't go backwards like Randall did.
I'll tell you what though,
Mobley won't.
Colin Sexton coming back next year, so let's wait and see.
Third off the bench.
Coming back to the Pacers.
Well, now they got LeVert.
Well, the argument to be made for the Cavs is that, like, even throughout everything last year, I never had too much faith. I've said this on this pod. Regardless, I'll finish it now. Well, the only players I wanted off of the 2021-22, no, that's this season.
2020-21.
The 2020-2021 season was RJ and IQ. And the rest of the team, I was like, I'm a bit worried that we'd be buying high. With the Cavs this year, Garland was an all-star, like a deserving all-star. I think he should have been a starter. Jarrett Allen shouldn't have been an all-star, but he's like a top 8 center in the league. Evan Mobley is sick. He's probably going to be the rookie of the year. And then Karis LeVert can be like the 4th most valuable player, and he's probably still on the same plane as IQ. Maybe I'm being unfair in saying that, but that's 4 players like that you want going forward. But I'm getting like maybe Nick's best case scenario from last year to this year.
Like as good as the Knicks were, right? Like RJ Barrett still wasn't actually that good. It's not like anyone really played better than they usually do apart from Julius Randle. Obviously they were like playing as a team a lot better. But if you were to be like, okay, do you want Evan Mobley after this season or RJ Barrett after the 2020-21 season? It's like, fucking wingspan aside. Like, you would pick Mobley.
It's no contest.
Yeah.
But I just worry that like even aside from there being like a young team versus like a team that was kind of a bit more veteran with some young players sprinkled in, it's just like they might be back in the same situation next year where they're kind of like just on the outside looking in, because that top 6 is like, I don't know, hard to crack.
And they'll probably just get better as well.
Well, that's the thing. If they take another really big jump, then it's like, well, they could very well do it, but like they need to be better than what they've been, like at least for the second half of this season.
And they only started falling off when everyone got injured.
Yeah.
So it's like
that's true.
They could actually just be really good.
Yeah.
And they got a great coach, unlike the Knicks.
Great's probably strong, but yeah.
I reckon James Borrego, biggest star. Well, do we want to jump out of the play-in into the playoffs? Should we do everyone's play-in, who's going to win the play-in, to like round that off? Oh, is this great producing right now?
You go.
So I've got the 7th seed in the West going to Minnesota, and then the Clippers beating the winner of. Then the Clippers beating the Spurs. Then in the East, I've got Brooklyn beating the Cavs, and then Atlanta beating the Hornets, and then the Cavs. Alessio?
I think I was Clippers, Wolves, and then Nets, Hornets.
Cool.
Damn.
Pretty sure that was it.
Upset.
Sean,
Yeah. I'm Clippers, Wolves, and then Nets, Hawks.
Marco.
Yeah.
Ditto to Sean. Clippers, Wolves, Nets, Hawks.
The one and only Dante Buffer, Mr. Buffer man.
Do you know to both of the men sitting next to me?
Well done.
Perfect.
You'll get it on the
Should we
page,
do
you
some
know.
congratulatory backslaps as well?
Jolly good.
So, which matchup do we want to start with, Marco? Do we want to go by totals or average?
So we've actually, Lucas devised a great system which I proceeded to completely misunderstand. Basically ranked the 8 matchups of the first round from least to most interesting. Least interesting is the 1 and the 8 seed in the East, which would be Miami, and I think the consensus is Atlanta.
Yeah.
When you say it, it sounds better though, doesn't it? It's like, I actually don't want to watch the Bucks and Bulls, so maybe.
Yeah.
Change it.
I don't think it'll be a bad series. I just think it won't be a contest at all.
Victor Oladipo is just too good.
He'll be getting a lot of garbage time. So
I kind of think that it will be a contest. Because I think that the Hawks have a gear to get to. Like, you know, I haven't gone to work for most of the year. So I think there's a gear there that they could get to. And I kind of, I think Miami's really good, but I don't necessarily think that they're like a lock, you know? A complete lock. I think it could be 6. Yeah. I think it could be 6.
Yeah, I get no contest vibes, but then I also don't know about the Heat in the playoffs. I know they made the finals 2 years ago, but they looked really bad against the... Oh, actually, no, they weren't full strength against the Bucks last year.
Weren't they?
No, they were. It wasn't...
They weren't.
well, I think Jimmy had just played 8 games or something.
Yeah, they had that horrible last season because of the bubble.
But they also just got beat.
Yeah.
By the champion.
No shame in that. I actually ranked this 5. I thought that there were 3 things less than this, but I think that the Hawks and the Heat will be fun to watch. Fuck, I don't care about that one too much.
The Heat will do to the Hawks what the Hawks did to the Knicks.
Wow.
Where it's just like,
Blitz.
yeah, you won your game. Congratulations. Here we go. See you later. See you next year.
Who was the fella in was it the Hawks GM who said, yeah, we really should have improved our team on the off season?
Travis Schlenk
was
the fella.
There we go.
When did he say that?
20 games into the season?
Yeah, before the deadline, he said we should have made some more moves.
Yeah.
About upgrading the team.
What moves did he want to make?
He was the one that could make them.
John Collin.
Okay.
I think also just anyone on the bench.
They have 11 players.
But this is what I mean is the Heat had 11 players and then they went out and got PJ Tucker and Kyle Lowry and 3 European guards you've never heard of who are all averaging 45% from 3. I think just the fact that the Heat probably would have beaten the Hawks, and that's a call, but the full strength Heat probably would have beaten the Hawks last year, and then they've gone out and gotten 5 more good basketball players, and the Hawks have gotten 0. I think that for me, that's roadkill.
Damn.
Yeah.
Sean, anything?
Nah, the Hawks aren't going to win. They've been too bad this year, and last year they probably overperformed, and then just got a really lucky break with Ben Simmons just shitting the bed. And then so maybe next year they regress to the mean or reverse to the mean.
Ben Simmons' camp wants to blame Embiid though, because Embiid blamed Simmons. So just remember it's both of their fault.
Okay,
It was Embiid an MVP.
Embiid actually, when Simmons was going up for that dunk, Embiid was like, pass it to Thibault.
It's the ultimate camera angle of the assassination.
They got the hot mic.
Is that the one with the bowling pins?
Have you seen that other bowling pin video?
Yeah.
All right.
With the one with the cross and it's a split.
Oh god.
We should go bowling.
Oh, dude, I actually 7-10 splitted once. I was 6 at the time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did you roll it down the hill?
No, 6 points. Straight down the middle.
6 point Sheridan.
The one and only... Oh, sorry, did you say... Are we still
It's just a
talking?
bad bit. No,
The one and only Dante Buffer, Mr. Buffer Man. Who are you picking in this series?
I'm picking the Heat, but I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a series. Like I don't think it's gonna be a walkover. So I'd say Heat in 6.
Yeah, nice.
Nice.
Well, should we move on to the second most boring matchup? I've got 4v5 in the West. I didn't have this ranked dead last purely because, well, I think Alessio put it off air. Luka will be very fun to watch, but also it might be the complete dissolution of this Utah team in a playoff
Oh, I
series.
hope it is.
But
Yeah,
the
that's
thing is, Luka's in a walking boot right now.
Right.
Because he had a calf injury in the last game of the season, and he might be like a little bit
Oh,
questionable.
that's true.
first,
That's true.
Which would make this even worse. The Jazz
When
might win.
Jalen Brunson makes his 25 mil a year, it'll be now.
I have so like
You got sources.
as I've gotten older and maybe a bit more like jaded with the NBA, like my Schadenfreude gland has really just kicked in, and the Jazz are like one of the teams that the Jazz are one of the teams that I just take immense pleasure in bad things happening to them. Like I really hope that they just lay an egg and it's just like an absolute fucking fiasco and like the whole team implodes. But at the same time, I'd really like to play the Jazz in the second round. If the Jazz beat the Mavs, then Phoenix will play the Jazz in the second round.
So you're going to be watching that series.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be like kind of like rooting for the Jazz in spite of myself because I really just want Luka to go like 38, 13, and 7 and just like rain step back threes over Gobert, and it's just like we remember it forever as like the series that just like broke the Jazz.
Yeah.
The Mormons flee before Luka's might.
What a headline. I don't think you have to worry about either of these teams, Dante. The Mavs or the Jazz. I rank this as my least favourite matchup because I don't want to watch it. Like, I rank the other ones as like, how good's it going to be? Like, are we going to see competitive basketball? I don't have, like, other than Luka, there are no draws to either of these teams. And even then, I'm going to come out and say it. I think I prefer watching like Jalen Brunson than watching Luka. I'm a bit sick of Luka.
I've got this great video for you.
But there's just not so many draws in this series as there are in other series.
But also like the one storyline outside of Utah imploding is if Luka can't win this series, then he hasn't gotten out of the first round in 3 years. And 2 of those years were against Kawhi at his peak. But it could be a bit like, hang on a minute, is there something here?
I wouldn't hold it against.
You know who else can get out of the first round?
Whiskey.
I was going to say Michael Jordan, but
Oh yeah.
It's funny because I feel like we've just come back around on Luka as well as like a commentariat.
Yeah.
Like
Well, he rocked up like out of shape.
Yeah.
and- yeah.
yeah, that's bad. Like, come on. But I think
he doesn't even go to the strip club. He's
not old enough.
What's he doing?
I think Luka is a warrior, and I think that he'll be able to push through.
He's a match.
No one said it for a reason.
Yeah, I'm so glad you did it.
Wait, is this not a 2025 free agency?
Dante, I'm sorry.
Chestnut checkers.
He's one of the best player performers in the NBA. Like, even though he hasn't gotten out of the first round, he's pretty much been the best player on the floor in both of those series with Kawhi on the floor at the peak of his power. Luka's literally that imaginary line that I just said, like 38, 13, and 7. It's literally just his stats from both Clippers series. So I think that he'll be able to go. I hope.
But like the stupid people on First Take, if he does lose, are going to be like, But then again, that's not enough for me to watch the series. So I agree with everyone else, and the reason I put it as a bad series.
Also, don't watch First Take.
Yeah, I never have actually.
There you go.
I just,
Seems to know an awful lot about the people on the first take.
To be fair, Nick Wright says some god awful dastardly stuff,
He's not First Take though.
isn't he? I don't watch it. But what's he from?
Gotcha there.
He's from the Fox version.
Oh, really?
He's on like the Fox's version.
Now you seem to know.
YouTube rabbit
But
holes.
he's got a lot of shit takes about Jokic. And it's not even like Embiid's better. It's like Jokic is a bad basketball player. Like, should be playing at Coburg.
Yeah.
It's just weird. But where did the host want to take it next?
Hang on. Has everyone made their pick for this series?
Do we make pick for last year?
Oh,
No, I was just consensus. Let's move to the next series. But this series, I think that the Mavericks are going to win.
Yep.
I think that both teams have good offensive systems. Both teams have exploitable defensive systems. And it's just going to come down to personnel more than anything else. And the Mavericks have more players I'd trust scoring, given the ball to 8 seconds left. Donovan Mitchell can do it for 48 points, but between Luka, Jalen Brunson, and Tim Hardaway Jr., they can probably get 60. No one laughed. That was the joke about Tim Hardaway Jr. They just got more manufacturable ISO points.
I thought you were going to say Dinwiddie.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say Trey Burke, but I forgot to say Trey Burke.
Okay. He doesn't play for them anymore?
Yeah,
No.
surely he plays.
Oh, I don't think he gets minutes.
Okay.
If that's what you're saying.
I've got semi-healthy Doncic winning.
Yeah, Mavs.
Yeah, I got Mavs as well.
Yeah, and Donovan Mitchell, terrible fourth quarter performer, right? Alright.
Future Nick. Donovan Mitchell.
That'd be cool, actually.
Mm. Him and Westbrook
would be
back
good, but it'd be cool.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I think I've heard enough from Donovan Mitchell, and now I'm going to hear more from him.
Yeah,
if
that's
he goes to New York, so it's the last thing.
He's still wearing that rookie hoodie.
Is he?
What do the numbers say?
For what?
What do the numbers
The next
say?
series.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah, these numbers. Next we have 3 versus 6 in the East, which would be Milwaukee and Chicago.
Sean has lots to say about this series.
Well, Dante, funny you should mention that because DeMar DeRozan absolutely kills the Bucks whenever he plays them. I think he averages the highest amount of points per game against any team. He had 42 against them last week. Bucks
Who was the primary matchup?
Chris Middleton.
So he must do pretty well generally.
He
against
lifts
Chris
his
Middleton.
lip when he sees them.
Yeah.
We had this conversation 2 hours ago. Bucks in 6-2. The Bulls can't beat good teams.
Yeah.
Not only that, go on.
No, you go.
No.
No, go.
Please.
Your podcast.
Okay. The Lonzo out is huge. I think that in a playoff series, who they got? I'd like his optionality on both ends more than No, I was gonna say Levine. Yeah. That was pretty funny, wasn't it? And Vooch, but I think that goes without saying. But of the big four, I would say DeMar. Have all the trust in the world in, and then Lonzo would be behind him. But yeah, I think the Bucks are gonna smack them.
I think even with Lonzo and even with Patrick Williams with 81 games under his belt this season, I think it would just still be no contest. I think Chicago might even be at risk of getting the situation that you think Cleveland might be at risk of getting in, Dante, where they're gonna be good, but they're not. I don't know what the avenue for them to get better than they were against good opposition this season is. Can you ever beat a team with Giannis Antetokounmpo with Vucevic as your 5, for example? I don't think that's the key problem of this team. But yeah, I think they're going to lose this series. I do think a sweep is on the cards, and then it is well, actually, what do we do to get better from here? Or are we just gonna be the 6th seed for the next? Until DeMar's contract looks bad.
Yeah, you want Williams to be healthy all year, and you want Lonzo to be playing. And then you want to do the Atlanta thing where it's we actually have to trade for someone who's 6'10". We have to actually trade for someone that is of any substance above the height of 6'7", defensively. Because Vucevic is obviously good. But yeah, I think Giannis will just kill him. It's not. This isn't really one that we need to discuss.
Is there a Vooch for Gobert trade that's realistic? Vooch and 3 firsts for Gobert.
They've already given up all their firsts though. They gave up for Vooch and for DeRozan and for Lonzo.
What about Vooch and Pat Williams for Gobert?
Nah, fuck that. I'm gonna give up Pat Williams and get back Rudy Gobert.
Yeah. You want to give up 3 firsts?
The last thing.
But Pat Williams is about it.
The last thing Sean needs is his touch shot. Yeah.
Do you want the cards, bro?
Pat Will's card. How much you get it for?
$8 each. They're currently at $50 if you want to buy them.
And if I can get an NFT?
Each.
And he's been injured all year. That's phenomenal.
I've been getting.
Speak about investments.
I've been getting NBA Top Shot NFT ads on my Instagram.
Really?
I'm over it. I can't
Dude,
believe
I
it.
thought that company shut down.
Yeah, Kevin Durant's in the ad. He
Really?
narrates the ad.
And I haven't finished yet.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Dante, you haven't said nothing about this podcast.
Oops.
What is this?
No, I think it's gonna be a sweep or a GS.
I think GS.
Like I agree with you, Les. Like there's not that much to say. Like Giannis is literally just gonna mash.
Wouldn't it be funny if Chicago didn't win a game against a good team all year, but then managed to win one in the playoffs?
It would be like unbelievable.
They haven't won one for 82 games. They haven't beaten a good team for 82.
They won one.
Okay.
Sorry, man.
Sorry.
What was their one win? I thought they were like 0-16.
Nah, they were 1-16 or whatever.
Okay.
Who was the
Sorry,
one?
man. I don't know. Gee.
And if you flip that 16-1, Warriors
Yes,
record
Warriors
in 20
were-
something.
I mentioned that in an article coming out any time now.
What's our next?
Well, sorry to keep you, Sean, but what's our next?
What's our next series?
Next series, it was actually dragged down the list by quite a rogue vote. It's the one versus the 8th seed in the West, which by our predictions will be Phoenix, Minnesota. And again, now that I say it, it doesn't sound so boring.
Wait, Phoenix Mini. I thought we were going Phoenix
Phoenix
Lack.
Clippers.
I was going Phoenix
Phoenix
Clippers.
Mini. You
You were going Phoenix Mini?
We're going Clippers. Clippers versus the Clippers in 7 versus the
Clips
Yeah,
in
yeah,
7.
true.
versus the
That's
Grizz.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
you're the outlier
Yes.
where you thought.
Yeah.
No, but you were.
No, that's as well.
Oh,
That's as well.
Yeah, I had Mini
Yeah.
at 8.
I had Clippers beating Mini.
This is
Oh, holy mackerel.
Yeah.
That's a good series, that one.
Yeah. Wow, now it's not such a rogue vote. Now it's not a rogue vote.
Phoenix. Oh, go Dante. Phoenix.
Yes.
This is a good series because my team's in it first and foremost, which is sick. But when we played the T-Wolves like 3 weeks ago, there was like lots of feeling. It was a close game. There was like back and forth, like Pat Bev, Bossman 99 getting into it. Then Kat just like dunked all over Bossman 99. Like there's a bit, you know, Devin Booker did that dunk that you love where he like dunks all over D'Lo on the fast break and then he's like, I don't have any friends. There's like,
What the fuck is that?
it's a bit rogue, but like there's energy here. There's energy here. You got great matchups all over the board. Like how are they going to defend Booker? Are they going to put like someone big on him like Vanderbilt and just go out to the perimeter? Are they going to try and go Pat Bev? Aiden versus Kat is a great matchup because Kat can work in the post and pull Aiden out, but Aiden's also like extremely mobile and can like defend on the perimeter. So I think that there's lots of interesting like kind of chess match like opportunities here, and there's like a bit of feeling, and I think it's luckily for me I think it has GS written all over it.
Yeah. No matter what the Timberwolves do, Chris Paul's already in Beverly's head from last year.
Or vice versa.
Beverly's going to say whatever he wants to say and he's going to act however he wants to act, but deep down, Chris Paul's going to look him in the eye and be like, I shit on you last year.
Bro, not deep down. To everyone else but Patrick. Chris Paul wins that
and his
matchup.
teammates, because all of his teammates are so gullible.
Really?
I think we can leave this series and we're going to be looking at Aiden and Kat, and like Kat's going to average 27 and 9, and Aiden's going to average like 15 and 10. Can we stop? And I'm going to be like,
He's looking at Eric Pascal highlights.
I own these two top
Here we
shots.
go.
you have thrown me under the bus. Sean.
Entering his third hour of podcasting and
Yeah,
he can't
it's
talk
over.
about it anymore.
He needs more sugar.
Talk amongst each other.
I think Aiden is going to look better than Kat by the end of the series. He's not going to have better stats, but you're going to look at what he does and be like, damn, that's the guy I want as my third option.
I feel like DeAndre Ayton's numbers are just going to keep going down and down, and he's just going to keep looking better. And
Yeah. Oh my god. Yes.
Well, I'm gonna speak on the Suns Clippers matchup, which is what I'm seeing, and I don't really want to turn that on, but the Suns are going to look good in whatever series they've looked good since the start of last season, and they're just going to keep looking good in whatever series they play in. But Mini versus Phoenix would be a fun series, but that's not going to happen.
I think, despite me ranking it very lowly, I've watched so many like Phoenix 35-point wins when like I definitely don't have to. When there's other basketball games, I'm like, no, this is fun.
How high can it get?
Yeah. And yeah, like in the playoffs last year when it was just like, oh my, like it's the second quarter and the other team's like 28 points down, has given up. I'm like, I'm still gonna watch the next, hour and a half of basketball.
Yeah.
I think Phoenix is like deserving of that. Actually, fun to watch. Completely tear a team to shreds. Title, if you will.
Mikal Bridges is gonna eat Edwards alive. I really.
Damn.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Not defensively, offensively.
Well, who's going to guard Bridges?
Bridges?
For sure.
Edwards is going to close on some Bridges hard. I was watching the Phoenix-Utah game from like 4 or 5 days ago. They just closed so hard on him.
Yeah.
His up fake isn't even that good, and they all jump for it. And then it's one dribble, 2 steps.
Yeah.
His arms are at the rim.
And he's like a low-key good passer as well. Like he doesn't get many assists, but when he does that like drive to the rim on the closeout, he's right there. It's like if he's not dunking on you, his layup package is also sick. Like he just extends and just goes on the other side, but he can also just like kick it out or like find the dump off.
Well, there was one that Gobert was going to clamp, and then he just go gadget arm.
Edwards is like
A shocking defense.
Spacey defensively. Like he's kind of like a bit all over the shop. And Bridges, if you looked at like the second spectrum data, he probably like cuts and moves more than just about any player in the league.
And like, what are you going to put Edwards on Crowder? Who's just going to run up and down the baseline?
And Phoenix is really good. Well, Chris Paul is really good at just like hunting the matchup that they want. So they're going to put Edwards in like in pick and roll all the time. They're going to put Cat in pick and roll and like bring him out.
Do you guys see Minnesota winning a game?
No.
Yeah, I do. I think Jazz.
I don't know.
He's too cautiously optimistic.
Yeah,
I really don't.
I want to say no, but like they just need to get hot for one game, and Phoenix can just go meh, whatever.
But Phoenix they don't really let that happen,
No,
like
they stopped on the Lakers
I think
last year.
like there are so many entertaining matchups in this series, but like Phoenix has the better player in every single one of them, like 1-on-1 by quite a bit. Or Ayton Cat, like whatever. Ayton will make himself look more valuable, like you said, whichever one was on that side. So yeah, I don't see a single mini win.
Well, over in my bracket, I see the Clippers getting. I see the Clippers getting a win against the Suns, for the same reason that I don't see Mini getting a win against the Suns. So it is just going to be like exploiting when Anthony Edwards turns off defensively for 4 minutes, and then somehow they balloon the lead from like 2 to 14.
48 minutes.
No, I'm not quick enough for that. But the Clippers won't have those lapses. They'll lose a GS on talent and a little bit of coaching, but they won't have those lapses. And if they do, Tyler will like bring them back down from 20 to like nearly winning the game.
If Monty Williams is the best coach this year, then Tyronn Lue might be the second. Like
Taylor Jenkins.
Yeah, no, I'm just, like in a vacuum. They're both top 5.
Or top 20 as we discovered last week.
I'd say top 30 in the world.
You reckon Elvin Gentry is top 30? I
didn't say Elvin Gentry. I said Ty Lue and Monty Williams.
Elvin Gentry's now got the curse of Jim Boylan. Where it's like he's one of the 30 coaches, but he's really like the 43rd best coach.
Oh,
yeah. Moving on to our next matchup, I think this is maybe the first one where we don't all have the same result. This is the 4 versus 5 in the East, which is Philadelphia versus Toronto. Who you got?
This was Alessio's 7th out of 8 matchup. Why don't you like this?
I want the worst for Philly, like Dante does for Utah.
Yeah. For what reason?
Harden made me look silly. really silly. No, I genuinely thought he was going to come into the season, first of all, not fat, and just like have an MVP like season. Now, like he might not have won the MVP, but he literally shit the bed, forced his way out. I'm so over the Embiid narrative. Most recent article on the Deep 2.
Wait, where was that?
Because www.thedeep2.com.
I can't believe it's that simple.
It's really that simple.
Is that
I'm going to believe that
number or?
Because Lucas and I were having a discussion a while ago about the MVP when it was still like quite.
Not Jokic's.
Not Jokic's. Right? It was Jokic or Embiid, and like no one really was talking about Giannis. And I was like, nah, fuck that. And then since then, all these articles came out pushing Embiid, and he started like whinging to the press. I was just like, oh my god, stuff this. Then the Tybal vaccine thing comes in. Like, everything about Philadelphia shits me up the wall. And so I really hope Toronto wins. I don't think they will, because they literally don't have a matchup, because everyone they have is shorter than 6'9", and Embiid just happens to be 7'1".
Just happened.
And the third best player in the world at the moment. So, yeah, I want the worst of Philly, but I don't think they lose.
I want the worst of Philly, and they do lose, I think. For a couple of reasons. You've just brought up Matisse Thybulle out of the defensive rotation is really horrible, because Tobias Harris, $35 million guy, don't play like that. And just that rear view defender works so perfectly, sandwiching a player in between him and Embiid. And Nick Nurse is just gonna the Raptors don't make mistakes. They get good shots most possessions. They just either go in or they don't. Fred VanVleet, every time I don't want to watch him, and then every time I watch a Toronto game, I'm like, damn, this guy is so good. I've never seen him miss a three. Just goes all the way up to the ceiling, and then his cannon hits the back of the rim and goes in. But just 1 through 7, maybe even 1 through 6 if Nick Nurse wants to go that way. But 1 through 7, there's just less mistakes to be made from Toronto's side, and there's more availability. And I'm done backing Harden, giving Harden benefit of the doubt, man.
Yeah.
But
I've done it so many times. Go on.
if Harden's going to be good, it's not going to be in a series where there's 6 dudes that can guard him. Especially when he's not playing well, and you've just got all 1 through 5 is going to be able to hang with him on a pick and roll. So if he was going to exploit someone on Chicago, if they had to verse them, it's okay, maybe he can get into the groove. But he's going to start with Fred VanVleet, call for a pick and roll, get Scotty Barnes on him or something. And Embiid, he's taller than everyone else in the whole entire court, but is Embiid going to score 50 points, and is that going to make up for everything that everyone else isn't doing?
Yeah. Is there a world where you just let him score? You just let him average 45?
Just single cover him the whole
Yeah,
time.
well, and it's I know this never happens. There's always the conversation of just let him score 45, whatever. He can really average 40 in the series if you let him.
Yeah.
And then it's all right, Harden, beat our wing defender in a one-on-one, dribble past him.
I don't even think you would need to do that though by single covering him. I think the key is going to be just to double hard in the post with length. Bring any number of your 6'7" to 6'9", 7 foot plus wingspan guys over and just make him pass it out. And they're all athletic. They're all athletic enough and long enough to help him recover. Plus, there's not that many amazing shooters on Philly anyway. So if it's if Embiid's kicking it out to Tyrese Maxey or Shake Milton or Matisse when they play in Philly, those guys are driving every single time. And if you're driving back towards where the long-armed guys are. And they're all excellent defenders and they can all block shots. And then they just get in the passing lanes and mess shit up and dunk on you in transition. Last week on the Deep 2, I was kind of thinking... that's the Deep 2 NBA podcast. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. I was thinking that Philly would win just because Embiid would just score 45. But I've reflected on it, and I'm picking Toronto in this series.
Do Philly win the series with Seth Curry?
Nah.
Not enough? So everyone's picking Toronto except me.
I think it's it's a coin flip for me, but I would pick Toronto.
I'm picking Philly, but I'll be going for Toronto the whole time.
Oh, me too. Yeah, for sure. That's what I'm...
I don't think anyone's going for Philly.
No.
Yeah. But can we just take a moment now that there's 5 of us to talk about how disappointing it is that Tybal is being who he is? Because when he was playing for the Boomers, it was oh my god, he's playing for the Boomers. This dude, he lived in Sydney till he was 9, but he's unlike Ben Simmons and Kyrie Irving who have just deserted us. He's actually come in and is joining the Boomers. He's 22. He's going to be here for at least 4 more Olympics. He fits perfectly into the Olympic game. He played exceptionally. He was a real big glue piece that we needed between the superstars of Patty Mills and Joe Ingles. And now you're a fucking nuffy.
Much like Bradley Beal, he's just come out and said, "I'm an idiot."
Yeah.
His quote was
Bad.
It was originally I thought it was to help people and I couldn't spread it. But then I found out that I could spread it. And so it's well, if I'm getting it, I'm not helping people anyway. So I just decided to not get it. It's what?
I come from a home of Chinese medicine and homeopathic practices. come on. You still got the first one.
You're in a different home right now.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
also, Bradley Beal, maybe one of the dumbest guys in the NBA. He still went and got the second jab, and he's like, all right, this is going to affect my career and my team. Like,
Oh, did he?
So,
I did not know that. That's even dumber.
Yeah.
It's so
Like,
crazy.
you know, Fabulous, they've known this has been a possibility. Like, there's someone deep in the 76ers organization who's been like, oh, we might draw Toronto in the first round, so let's just make sure everyone's like vaccinated.
It's Daryl Morey.
The best possible case scenario for like for the Eastern side, like the for the East playoffs.
Eastern bracket.
For the right and conference. I was getting
Depends how you
confused
look
with the bracket. Is a Boston and Toronto conference finals, and half of Boston just can't go to Toronto.
Do we know who those players are?
Well, Al Horford was
Jalen Brown.
vaccinated. No, Al Horford was like, I am vaccinated. That was a rumor by
It's
whoever.
a joke.
I was shocked to hear that because Al Horford gives me big vaccinated vibes.
Yeah, and then we were talking about this. You know, his wife's so stupid on Twitter. Do you see his wife?
No.
That's Brad Beal's wife.
No, as well. But every
It's
time
Ali
he
Horford.
leaves, every time Ellie Orford, no, Al LaForce. Every time he leaves an organisation, she'll just like slag him off on the way out.
Wow.
And be like, "Fuck you, Philly piece of shit fans. Fucking get one up, yous."
How much did Philly pay him?
To be fair, that is
Oh.
true.
She was Miss
It was
Universe
4-1-10.
2003.
Wow.
I was gonna say what universe. I was gonna say what country.
What universe? So what? Al Horford, Dominican
So
Republic?
Al Horford is vaccinated.
Yes.
And-
And Jalen Brown isn't.
It's a quit now. We don't know.
But like Al Horford came out and was like, I'm vaccinated. I don't know where that came from.
Boston
Jalen Brown can also do that himself.
Boston-
Yes, he's not done so far. so-
Boston also released a statement though when they were like maybe like a week ago, and they were like, we were asked to confirm the vaccination status of all our players, and like we declined to do so. So there's definitely people there.
I've said this before. Jalen Brown not being vaccinated, if it's true, is the most disappointing non-vaccination in the NBA. Because like we know Kyrie's an idiot, and like you know Ty will like you know
We found
take
out.
take it or leave it. But Jalen Brown's this like he's the smartest guy in the NBA. He went to a good school. He was going to study this crazy thing. He's so intelligent. He fights for all these rights and blah blah blah. And now he's not vaccinated. It's
It'll
like
be like finding out Brogdon's unvaccinated. Just be like, shake me in my core.
yeah, it's like what the? I thought you were the smart one. You were the smart one. How have you done
Look, it
this?
just goes to show athletes, man.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
I don't want to make any concessions here, but like, I think Jalen Brown's Muslim, and you know, same deal as Andrew Wiggins, right? Was that his original
No,
reason?
he's-
No,
he's Catholic.
He's Catholic.
He's
He's
Hardcore.
the other.
Well, God's his protector.
Before, yeah. And you know, like,
Two shots of
Kyrie.
I really
What
love
is this, a podcast?
So I think, you know, whatever the intelligence we assume about Jalen Brown, like he's religious as well. And that's probably where the decision stems from, not necessarily being a complete fucking idiot. I mean, you're a fucking idiot.
I'm gonna
Don't let the record show that.
I'm gonna put those two things together. You heard it here first.
Ty will just like wolf an elephant task. It's like that's not gonna fix you, mate.
Nah, there's this new thing. It's this new effect. It's called placebo.
When I rewrite English language, we're gonna call it place boo.
Wait till he finds out the placebo was something
Can't wait.
created by scientists. He's not gonna be happy.
Well,
So we all got Toronto, you got Philly, and you got Philly.
Yeah.
So half of us plus one. 3 of us got Toronto winning this one.
Two of us, two plus Marco.
So half of us plus half.
Hey, no scientists here.
yeah, I think that will be a good series in the sense that like it'll be competitive.
It'll be juicy.
It'll be juicy.
I like the idea of letting Embiid go off. Being like, just don't send him to the free throw line and let him score 40. Because have we ever... Well, he always gets to the line.
That's on the refs though. Like if the refs will be able to decide if he gets fouled every time. Like,
Yeah, but if it's just like, if he's going up and he's going through and he's going to take your arms out, give him the 2. If he can get to 50 points without shooting a free throw, fucking good on him.
yeah.
We can get to 50 points with free throws.
Yeah, I don't think, and no one likes Harden anymore, so he'll probably get less calls.
Yeah,
He's not getting called.
Yeah. So, and he's complaining a bit, or he was. So it's like he's just compounding his own.
Yeah.
I would just love to watch them lose.
Yeah.
I would just love. It would be the best.
I think you're gonna.
James.
Yeah, for sure.
The gland.
I think you're gonna. Next series?
Next we have the 2 versus 7 in the West, which Lucas, what's it in your bracket?
In my bracket, that would be Memphis, Minnesota.
Which is a
It's
sick
a fucking
matchup.
juicy series.
But the rest
right
of us have the Clippers.
there. Stifles vomit.
I'm not surprised that this one is so high up in everyone's list, but I think it's good that it is. You know? I think I don't have questions about whether Memphis are a good team, but I'm so excited to see what they're like as the home court advantage team in the playoffs. You know, like when they're like, okay, ball's in our court, we are the favourites to win this series. What do we do? And I think either of those teams, although I think they'll win quite clearly. Either of those 2 teams will give them like a really, really good fight. And like Memphis, Minnesota could be they're such 2 teams with so many fun young players in them that I think like a 6-7 game series between them it would just be so good for basketball.
It'd be a great time to be a basketball fan.
Yeah, for sure.
Dante, you're not too happy about this series.
No, I think it's going to be Memphis and the Clippers. But I think that they'll like for the exact reasons Sean is like excited about it. I'm not excited about it because they're going to bring out the worst in each other in terms of like we're all hard guys and we're gonna I'm gonna assert my dominance over you. It's going to be like Markieff Morris getting into it, Paul George pretending to be tough, like Dylan Brooks like come on, like settle down. Jar has like a bit of that in him, and it's all going to be like a bunch of like alphas trying to like assert themselves as the primary alpha. And I just can't be bothered.
Jar's cool. Jar's is like cool though.
No, I reckon
I think the rest of them are all
I
dorks.
reckon he has a bit of like
Cringe call.
Yeah, like a bit.
Sorry.
The dude called Demetrius is cringe.
Really?
I just realised how bad the 7-8 game is going to be for that. No.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Pat,
Beverly and the Clippers.
Yeah, that's exactly why I said that, and then I forgot why I said that. Yeah. Beverly and the Clippers.
Yeah.
That's going to be so bad.
Yeah. But like that, there was that photo when
And Amir Coffey's a bastard.
when was it Kawhi that dunked on Doncic, and then there's the photo of George, Morris, and Kawhi like screaming at Doncic. When Morant puts his balls in Markieff Morris's face on a poster, Marcus, sorry,
It doesn't
on a
matter.
poster, all 12 Grizzlies are gonna have this like.
Yeah.
There's gonna be an image that comes out of this series with Ja Morant literally like nuts in Morris's face. It's gonna be incredible.
I think the official term for that is gangbang.
Yeah. It's gonna be by the end of the series. It'll be a gangbang. 4-1. Yeah,
Morant's nuts in Morris's face and 12 other guys.
yeah. God, that's heaven.
If it is Memphis versus Minnesota, I have Memphis winning in 5. But if it's the Clippers, I might pick it for 7.
Oh, I love that. Actually, no, I hate it. I love the pick, but like 7 games of that, it's like, come on.
But it's like Paul George surrounded by heaps of shooters and guys that can defend and guys that are still learning how to play together. Like it's going to be Robert Covington, Paul George, Norman Powell, Reggie Jackson, and Zubac or Hartenstein, who's the best plus minus
He got next.
Versus just like Ja Morant, who it's like all year they've been edging themselves, but now it's just like that's the term for creating an edge. But now it's just like time to prove it. It's like can you dunk on a Morris twin? If you can, I'd love that. Do it twice.
It's also great
One
to
for each
see.
nut.
It's also great to see Paul George lose in the playoffs though.
Yeah, but you're right. This is going to be the first time Paul George is an underdog because he's been entitled in Indiana with Roy Hibbert, but he's always been the favourite. It's always been nice to see him go. But maybe if it's the other way, maybe because and he's talked about He talked about struggling with that mentality and always just being laughed at for doing things that deserve to be laughed at. But it's like, now this is your time where it's like you have no pressure. No one expects you to win. Go out. And he sort of did that last year when Kawhi went down and made it to the conference finals. So it's like, and unleashed Paul George. Then again, I don't want to be the Paul George guy.
You are though.
Just be the Ty Lue guy. Don't give him credit. Just give credit to the
Kawhi
coach.
go down in the second round, like halfway through the second round. So Paul George really had to win like 2 games against Utah.
Also, it was a Terrence Mann game.
Yeah.
Jinx under the roof.
Yeah.
Buy me a Dr. Pepper.
My God, you're not Jinx under
That's delicious.
American candy.
I've been like, I've liked the Clippers since like about halfway through last season. I was like, oh, I'm not thinking about the Clippers. They're like a solid Western Conference team. And this season even more. It's like, once Kawhi was out for the season, it's like, I can enjoy Paul George because he doesn't think he's top shit. He knows he's like playing against expectations for once in his career. And I think it'll be a real series between them and Memphis. These guys actually have a lot of playoff experience. Like even some of the newer Clippers, like they've gone through. Reggie Jackson has been through like quite a hefty playoff run last year, and he was such a huge part of it. And like we know how good of a coach Tyronn Lue is. We know how many adjustments he's going to make throughout the series. But yeah, I think Memphis will just get that edge.
I think that experience point, like Ty Lue's won a ring, however many Clippers have got conference finals experience. Paul George has like multiple conference finals experience. And actually, now that I say this out loud, maybe they'll probably beat Minnesota. I might have been wrong in making that. But I've gone with Memphis Mini as my actual pick, which actually could be a bit nasty because there's not any like playoff experience in those teams other than Steven Adams. Yeah, other than Steven Adams, has anyone else on either of those teams won
Kyle Anderson.
Won a playoff series?
Spurs.
Did they?
Yeah. Did the Spurs win a playoff series?
No, because I went to see if he'd won a ring, and he had.
Yeah.
Next,
Steven Adams hasn't won a ring.
yeah, but he's won a playoff series.
Yeah, he's good.
I didn't go that far. I saw there was no ring, and I was like, oh, fuck this guy. I don't know Kyle Anderson's basketball reference page for any longer than that.
Before we move on from that, is that bad? Is it bad if it's nobody has playoff experience, or is it like wow, look at all of these 12 dudes finding their feet?
I think it could be very telling, and then they get through against the Warriors and get their handed.
But we're not talking about the second round.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the next one.
All right, so our second most watchable playoff series here, it's the 2 versus 7 in the East. So I think we can almost certainly say that will be Boston versus Brooklyn.
Yeah. Well, the first one we can bloody agree upon. Yeah, I don't want to take this one first. I got to gather my thoughts a little bit. The one and only Dante Boffa, Mr. Boffa, man.
I think this is going to be a really interesting series because you have potentially the best offensive team in the East versus the best defensive team in the whole fucking league. And if there's like any team that can slow down KD and Kyrie, like it's this team. The individual matchups will be amazing. I kind of think that Boston will like win pretty easily, but I think there's like a lot of like individual matchups that are gonna like be quite tasty in terms of like just watching like Kyrie, like so you really about him, like he's a bit of an artiste with the basketball, and watching him against someone like Marcus Smart is gonna be so much fun. And then watching just like the rotation of big wings get thrown at KD as they try and slow him down and probably fail. That's gonna be like lots and lots of fun. But ultimately, Brooklyn can't really get stops, and Boston is like good enough to punish that offensively. I think that Boston will probably end up. I think this is the worst matchup for Brooklyn. I think of the possibilities.
Not Miami?
No, I think this is worse because like there's a feasible chance that Boston can really substantially limit Brooklyn's offense, which I don't think Miami can.
Without Robert Williams, though?
Yeah, that's my big year.
They've been good defensively without him.
Yeah, but at the end of the year, when like half teams are playing
Yeah,
G League
that's-
teams,
that's-
because we've only seen like a 7-game sample size without Robert Williams,
Yeah.
and like he's a defensive player of the year candidate, and I completely disagree with you. I don't reckon they're going to slow down KD and Kyrie whatsoever.
Yeah.
Kyrie is, he's an underdog fetishizer. The whole Boston crowd is going to be booing him every time he touches the ball. There's that dynamic of
true.
Boston versus Kyrie.
True.
Yeah.
Kyrie, he's stuck to what he believes in, which
Which at this point, what?
what even is that? But for him to go back to Boston, the place that initially hated him, in a playoff series where you could just end their dreams. But like without Robert Williams, like who's that backstop? Like because KD and Kyrie are eventually going to get past that first line of defense, and instead of having Robert Williams, who's just a massive long freak, just sitting there like covering up and plugging all the holes, it's Daniel Tice Al Horford and Daniel Tice prefer to sit in the middle of that zone, and you've got Robert Williams sliding alongside the baseline. Like how old's Grant Williams? 23.
28 next week.
28 next week. Like, who else is sitting there? Like,
Graham Williams also 6'4".
Because KD's going to get his shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I just think that if Boston can, for Brooklyn to win a series, they need to be operating. Their two stars need to be operating at 100% capacity to compensate for their lack of D, like on essentially any level. And I think that Boston, more than other teams, can hold them to 85% production.
But KD defends so well in the playoffs.
Yeah, I know, but one
KD, Bruce
one
Brown.
good defender does not a playoff defense make. That's like an old English proverb.
But
Who's
I heard
after
that
Bruce
in
Brown?
Star
Is it Andre Drummond? Because I've come around and, well, however much you can come around and Andre Drummond. I've done that with Andre Drummond this season. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. But this has given me a big Brooklyn versus Milwaukee series from last year. This is before Milwaukee decided to be the best team in the league halfway through the conference finals. And I see KD and Kyrie being able to get to like 85 between them every single game. But other than that, where are your points coming from? Is there going to be a Blake Griffin game? Can Blake Griffin
I think
walk?
he retired last week.
Oh, you know what? Poor now.
doesn't play.
The Robert Williams thing is a bit of a concern, but like get through the wings and guards first. Before you have to-
But who can?
No, but it's like, okay,
Systematically.
But no one can.
So if
No.
KD scores 35 on 25 shots and Kyrie scores 25 on 20 shots,
But
that's
dude-
a win for Boston.
But it's not. KD's going to be closer to 50 than 35.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
even if he is, like, look at the Kyrie matchup. He's gonna get Brown and Smart just thrown on him for the entire game. Which, like, if that's not enough to slow him down, like, then no matchup in the entire league is.
They should just try and play.
Title favorite.
They should try and play him in Toronto so he doesn't have to face Brown.
I agree. I agree with Sean here. I think with Robert Williams there, right? Like you can just let KD pass it off and let someone like leak into the paint, and then you got Robert Williams to clean it up. They're basically going to be giving. I feel like you force KD to score 45 points. If he's like, I can go for an efficient 25 with 7 or 8 assists, he'll do that every day of the week.
Yeah.
If he's like, oh wow, like the way they're defending me is I'm the only person who can get a clean shot on the floor, that's when he drops 50 points.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's going to happen is they're going to be like, well, we don't have our interior D anymore, so we can't like just let players leak in. And then they're going to, I think you're right in saying they're going to throw these like really difficult wing matchups on him, but it doesn't matter. Like when he forces himself to get his shot, that's when he scores 50 points.
Yeah, I'm not trying to in any way like besmirch his playoff resume or anything. I just think that this matchup out of the other matchups that they could have got in the East is like, I don't know. I don't feel as good about it because I just do think that there's going to be like, I don't think that KD and Kyrie are going to be playing at like 100%, 100% like, and I think capacity. And I think any drop off against his team is going to be lethal because they can't stop anyone on the other end. It's like Boston's going to score 100. Boston's going to score 120 every game.
Yeah.
And if you have, you might have 2 games where you get 130 because of KD and Kyrie going for 80, but like, you're not going to have those games the whole series, and you're going to need to get to 120 somehow, and like, I don't know.
You need to get to 120 literally every time.
Yeah.
And like Brooklyn's D set up the Boston can just walk in and get 120.
Yeah. Yeah.
Forget about the fact they got Deuce's dad.
Yeah.
And like Jaylen Brown's allowed to play in these games. Marcus Smart's gonna have. Honestly, I was
Big
gonna
chip
say
on his shoulder.
2 Marcus Curry
big
games, but it's
glasses.
probably gonna be 3 Marcus Curry games against the Nets. And
Chip on his shoulder.
yeah, and like less resistance is only gonna help that.
Yeah.
I do still have this going to 7. I got Boston, but it's gonna be like it's giving me very Brooklyn Milwaukee from
Before
last
we
year.
do our predictions, who are you rooting for?
Boston.
Holy
Yeah.
shit!
Because it's Brooklyn. Like, I don't know how you feel about KD, but I want him to win every game he possibly can.
Yeah.
And him, where he has to score 50 points a game, is going to be so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Especially when he's really close with Kyrie. They're going to be booing Kyrie every time he touches the ball.
Mm.
I want the best for Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
And he is going to deliver. And it might just be him just like forcing the issue so hard.
Oh man, it's gonna be such a good series.
Yeah. I think I'm just rooting for Kev.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Bruce Brown.
Why?
And Seth
Why?
Curry. Because they're small
So-
and they
so-
look nice.
Yeah, I just I don't know. I think I'm just very cynical. It's like I want so much worse for Kyrie than I want well for Kevin.
I think
Not cynical.
the other
Italian.
thing,
We didn't make the World Cup.
the other thing I'm in,
Italian.
Yeah. To who?
Yeah.
North Macedonia.
Oh, yeah.
the other thing here is also like
Racism solved.
Friendship with racism ended. Peace with Western countries now, my friend.
Oh god. We do have.
How do you feel about a 7 seed getting to the conference finals and potentially winning them, versus 2, the Schadenfreude of a super team, falling to the play-in and then falling out in the first round of the playoffs?
Actually, so I want them to win as many series as possible, but not the final one, because that would mean Ben Simmons gets a ring.
Oh, that's another thing.
Don't you have to play the game?
Ben Simmons.
You have to. Well, I think it's at the discretion of the. Is it at the discretion of the team?
I think you have to have played.
I think you need to be on the
Patrick,
floor.
I think if you play 4 games for a team, then it's at the discretion of the team.
Yeah.
Hey, if I'm the 76ers and I win the ring, Ben's getting the first one. He's getting the first ring. No one's getting they're not even designing the ring until fucking Ben's first return
He's
to
got his
Philadelphia.
face in diamond. I really resent Jaylen Brown for not being vaccinated, so I want Kyrie Irving and Brooklyn to win.
You don't resent Kyrie.
But Ben, thank you for reminding me about Ben Simmons. That just compounds the cynicism about the Nets.
You know what the worst?
That's Kyrie and
You know what
Simmons.
the worst part about
No,
it is? The worst part about Ben Simmons being on the Nets is that he's on the Nets with Patty Mills, who's his father figure and his mentor and stuff. And it's there's no way Patty Mills is not a vaccine advocate.
Yeah.
So what's he doing? Where does the advocating stop? Obviously, he gets to Ben Simmons' locker and it's
Simmons not vaccinated.
no.
Oh no, I think.
Wait, what?
Nah, he might.
So that didn't end up being true.
I think he got vaccinated
Oh,
when,
he
he
got
went to
vaccinated.
Brooklyn.
Do you know, I got a notification on Facebook today.
And it injured his back.
Yeah.
That was funny. Something that just happened there reminded me of something, which is a great sentence.
I'm not a doctor.
But I got, when you share an article that you've seen on Facebook, before
Yeah.
it pulls up the share menu and says, you haven't read this article, you might be missing out on some key points. Do you still want to send it? And I just want to shout out Facebook for that.
But counterpoint, when I call one of my friends a cunt in an Instagram comment, it's oh, your comment shares a lot with a lot of hateful comments on this app. Just let me call my friend a cunt.
Yeah, but what's the word before that? Does it start with it?
So bad that we had video for that.
What are the predictions?
Yeah, I got Boston in 7, and I'm actually fully rooting for Brooklyn.
How about we just root for individual players?
Daddy
awesome
Mills.
Daddy Mills, Marcus Smart. It's good on you guys.
Marcus Smart, the second name you're going to
One of these
say.
things
You know
is
what I
not-
mean?
Boston in 6, rooting for not Brooklyn's players.
Nets in 7, rooting for Nets.
Boston in 6 rooting for KD.
Yeah,
Because
Paddy?
just to the one thing that we haven't mentioned so far is like if the Nets do get through, then they're going to play Milwaukee in the second round, which would just be neat.
God.
That would be fucking hectic.
Yeah.
Anyway, the floor is on that cut you off.
Boston in 7, but again by like a KD size 16 basketball shoe.
So pretty big.
That did not work.
That's a wide margin. That's a wide margin. Alright, here we go.
All right. Now time for the big one, the big kahuna. 3 versus 6 in the West. The
Well,
Sheen
actually,
Bowl.
one question before we move on. Do we all see this as if Brooklyn win the series, they got to work really hard, but if Boston win the series, there'll still be enough in the tank to take on the Bucks? Because that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not literally. Don't worry about the tank with KD. Like he could
But-
play 16 games.
He
after
admitted
the
he was gassed.
It was,
out.
yeah.
No, but he was
Don't
gassed.
listen
He
to
was
him.
gassed.
He doesn't know what he's doing.
He was gassed in the sense that he couldn't play in overtime 3 minutes later. You know, like
He also had a quote.
He would've been fine
speaking
in
to Bill
2
Simmons.
days.
He was speaking to Bill Simmons and said like, yeah, I wanted to because he said after Game 7 against Milwaukee, he went back and just shot more shots because he's like, I was hot. I just wanted to get some more shots off. That's so fucking hot, man.
That's kind of like me at Cleveland after a game. I'm like, all right, boys, I'm going straight back out there.
No shitting. I went to Burundara Sports Complex a couple of weeks ago. No, Burundara.
Nah, but
I definitely didn't go to Burundara. But I reckon the first 5 minutes I would have had like 2 misses, and the last 55 minutes I would have had 2 makes. But that first 5 minutes must have been how KD.
You got all the good ones out early.
That's what they always say.
that's what I want you to do.
Anyway, sorry about that.
yeah, the Sheen Bowl.
Should we give some background?
Oh, I've actually I wanted to intro this.
Oh yeah.
Sean, how do you think you'll go against the Warriors?
There's your intro, dickhead.
Is that the word? Is that the word you put before cunt?
Oh, if only.
Oh god.
Anyway, Sean.
Do you want me to start?
I reckon
It's all
though.
you, brother.
Is this number 1?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I can't believe it. Oh, we've been going for 2 hours.
We're hitting an hour 20. Yeah.
Holy
Oh,
Yeah, bro.
You guys are hitting like 2 hours 30 or something.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah,
Not-
not in between, so
not-
bit of
not-
Dr. Pep.
to chippies. This is going to be a fun
Can I see the
series.
rating?
Bring chippies out.
Sandwiches in there.
Oh, fuck oath. Hey, cameraman.
Hey, Paul,
Hey,
you
Kyle.
talk?
Tilt tan zoom. So, like, obviously an undermanned Denver Nuggets squad going against a title contending Golden State Warriors squad. And the thing is, the Golden State Warriors can beat any team in the 7-game series, or as I like to refer to them as a 6-game series, because we automatically win Game 6 no matter what happens because we employ Klay Thompson. But the thing is, our weakness throughout this whole dynasty has been really talented big men. And Jokic has absolutely cooked the shit out of us. In
The
regular
realliest,
season.
talentiest big man.
And the realest, talentiest, biggest man.
But like even going back to the first playoff series Steph Curry did after the rise and being an MVP was against the New Orleans Pelicans, and Anthony Davis was keeping them in that series for all 5 games. And Draymond, Defensive Player of the Year, deserves it all, and he's excellent at defending all 5 positions. But if you just get him guarding 1-on-1, it is just going to be 50%. Like it is a coin flip where Jokic is just like, it's just fine motor skills for those 2 dudes at the end. Where it's just like, can you hit a hook shot with your eyes shut, and can Draymond put you in the worst possible position? So we're going to be doubling down every single time. But then Steve Kerr loves just to play things straight for the first quarter. Kevon Looney's going to be out there. He's going to lose. Oof. We're going to be going down into a bit of a deficit start. And Michael Malone, just like Ty Lue, and we give Ty Lue credit for this to Nick Nurse, he's just going to be throwing everything against the wall and see what sticks. And I wrote an article from No Glove this morning talking about something that I think Michael Malone will do when he goes out there, and that's just hacking Wiggins as soon as possible, because Wiggins has been in his head ever since he's become an all-star starter. He's shooting under 60% from the free throw line, and he's gotten better from the three-point line the past month and a half. But you're going to be Wiggins out there.
Let's try to spell stats.
It's going to be a lot of, okay, can you get rid of Andrew Wiggins, maybe even hack a Looney, And as soon as you go a tiny increment back in the Warriors' big man depth chart, which can be called back to the James Wiseman pick. Maybe we should have done that, invested their assets in the wrong spot. You've just got Gavon Looney is a really good defender. Draymond's going to be playing 48 minutes if he has to, but Jokic is the best offensive player in the whole entire league, and it's going to be extremely hard to slow him down.
You guys draft LaMelo instead of Wiseman. Was that possible?
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys draft LaMelo instead of Wiseman. He stays in Memphis. Denver beats the Warriors, and then Memphis beats Denver in round 2 of this year's playoffs because they got.
Yeah. No, let's not. Let's not talk about the Wiseman pick. As soon as let's say Looney's in foul trouble, it's like Nemanja Bjelica is in, and it's like.
Has he made a basket since that first game?
Yeah, yes.
He honestly.
He's good.
No, he's not good. He's
there.
He just can't defend.
Yeah, he can't.
He can't do one of the two things.
And he doesn't want to defend. It's so frustrating because he thinks he's Jokic.
Yeah.
And even Jokic tries on defense because he knows he can win an MVP. And it's just like.
And he's good.
Fuck. And as soon as Belly misses an open 3, it's like, what the fuck are you there for? But then he's also just like, I'm better than this. Don't worry, I'll make it next time. It's like, you went 2 months without making one. Do you have to bleep that?
He said it 4 times.
Yeah. Did you?
Then I said. Did you miss that?
No.
Too busy watching Top Shot.
Top Shot.
But we're gonna get demonetized on YouTube.
I've got an Eric Paschal Top Shot and a John Collin Top Shot.
Well, why are we talking about that?
So what do you reckon about this Golden State series?
When I was looking through the first round series, these teams are so fucking experienced. This is by far this has gotten to
You love
third best
playoff experience.
Well, just
you put a lot of stock in it.
they're so I didn't used to, but now that you've asked me, I will explain a little bit.
It all started when.
Well, it all started when I was just I was like, fuck it, man. AD hasn't done shit. He's so full of potential, but what's he done? Giannis, he can't score. He had 50 fucking points in the game they won the finals. I'm putting more stock in what you have done rather than what you could do. As I get older, much like Dante. The Warriors have obviously won. Well, if we had a Warriors fan, we could ask them how many rings they won. But how many times have Denver made the conference finals?
Once. Well, what with Jokic?
Yeah.
Once.
But they've won a couple of other series.
Yeah.
The ones before games.
They won the 3-1 comebacks.
How many times has Jokic just been the guy? He was on the court with AD and LeBron, and there was a game where he was the fucking guy. There was no way he wasn't the best player on the court that game. AD ended up hitting that game winner. This is in the bubble, but I will die before I admit Jokic wasn't the first and second best player in that game.
Well, even the series before against Kawhi and the Clippers, and then Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell, and the Jazz. Murray was going off 50 points, but Jokic was throwing fucking over the head passes.
Yeah, and just both of these teams have showed so much with these cores. I know he doesn't have Murray and he doesn't have Porter Jr. Otto or Kevin. But he's got Mike Malone.
Not the shooter.
But he's got Mike Malone, and the two of that duo, Malone and Jokic, they've done enough. The Warriors have done enough. Best series first round.
It might be an 8-game series. And
Yeah.
4 games each.
Who's going to win game 6?
I regret. I put this series at 3rd on my rankings, and I regret it. This is the best series, and it's not close.
But the last
wrong.
series is pretty good.
Yeah, but I was wrong. This is definitely the best series.
I think, look, everything you've said aside, Sean, and I don't know, I don't think you've actually made your prediction, but I think every other doubt I personally had about this Warriors squad has been absolutely put to bed. Clay ended up finishing this season averaging 21, something ridiculous like that. Jordan Poole is everything we thought he'd be. Obviously, Draymond and Steph, when they're healthy, Draymond actually is aging well in this really surprising way. He could fall off a cliff in a year or two, but he doesn't look any worse, defensively and playmaking wise than he did 5 years ago.
As long as he's back holder.
Yes, exactly. And I actually think when you put all of that there and you look. Again, this is one of those things where it's apart from that center spot, every roster spot on the Warriors is better than every other roster spot on the Denver Nuggets. You know, like this Denver roster, like Jokic and Malone have worked wonders with them. Like there are good basketball players there, and there are great role players there, but it's just phenomenal what they have gotten out of some of these players. And it's 100% just the floor raising from the coach and the MVP. But like, you know, if you can even slow down Jokic 10%, I think that's enough for the Warriors to win. And like we saw that last year, like in the, you know, in the Denver's second round. They're in the second round. We're an hour and a half in, lads. Come on.
Portland and Phoenix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that Jokic just need to be slowed down that tiny little bit, and it was over for them. Basically.
Where's campaign's nose?
Yeah. So I think like the Warriors are genuine title contenders, and I think they don't have to. This will be a 7-game series, but they don't have to worry about not winning it. If that makes sense.
Every
You should be disappointed.
Every NBA pundit's favorite quote is like, if you have the best player in the series, you most often win the series. And the Nuggets have the best player in the series, but the Warriors have the second best, third best, fourth best, fifth best,
Monty Morris,
maybe sixth best, and then it might be Aaron Gordon at 7.
Rank them, and why is Jordan Poole the second best player?
So it's like Jokic, Curry, Draymond, Clay, Poole, Gordon.
Well, all I'm saying is like, none of the players that you listed after Thompson have made an All-Star team, and Andrew Wiggins has. So,
Oh my god.
Not buying. I've been anti-Wiggins since day one.
Andy-Wiggins.
Sorry.
two things. Steph Curry is not doubtful, he's questionable for game 1, and then we're going to find out the morning of whether he's going to be playing or not. And we're also going to find out the morning of whether don't Google, I just told you. We're also going to find
Steph
out
Curry could miss the playoff opener.
what the
Probably only find out on the day.
Speaking of don't Google, do you want to do Fournier next?
is Jordan Poole in the starting lineup? Because when he is, the Warriors win games, and he's for the past like 25 games, he scored 20 or more, and I think in the past month and a half, he averaged like 28 and 9. And that was without Steph and Curry. And he did it with Steph when Klay Thompson was out. And there was a slump where he was coming off the bench, and it was very much a bit like, why is Jordan Poole the one that has to lose, where all he has done is play well when he's out there. So is Steve Kerr going to play Jordan Poole and push Klay to the 3, or is he going to stay with Andrew Wiggins?
What happened to Steve Kerr 2.0?
Well, Steve Kerr 2.0 has similar traits to Steve Kerr 1.0, which is sticking with your guns and sticking with your defense.
Could not be predicted.
Could you not go, because you were like, he loves doing his first quarter, whatever. Could you not, if he was going to go Poole, could you go Steph, Poole, Klay, Wiggins, Draymond?
The only time he started the death lineup is in the finals.
Are you allowed to call it that?
No way. Wiggins is not Durant.
Yeah.
Well, no, Wiggins is Harry Barnes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is what it was named
No.
after.
It was called the Hampton 5, thank you very much.
There wasn't Iggy in that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like...
No, there's only one depth line. You got to come up with
Yeah.
a different
Iggy
name.
was the
Death lineup
defensive.
2.0. With one more All-Star in it.
No, the coma lineup was Kai Bowman, Damian Lee, both legends. Pat McCaw, nah, he was off the team.
He was in
He won a
Toronto.
ring with
He was in Toronto winning another ring.
And then he went somewhere.
He has as
Lucky
many,
us.
he has
He
as
went to
many rings as
Guangzhou.
the Warriors do.
Huh?
Guangzhou.
Yeah, really.
Maybe.
Good to see the Tigers get
That's
one.
what it's going to be sick.
To answer your question, Sean, I think if there's any series to start Jordan Poole, is this one, because there's no perimeter defenders to give.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to worry about that.
Austin Rivers came out one day and was like, I'm a perimeter defender. And everyone fucking believed him. Like, he has done nothing. Apart, like, everyone's just like...
Apart from let people into the key.
Yeah, he's like, they're like, he's the stopper. And it's like, no, he's not, bro. He just had a few fucking quotes. And he can't shoot.
Yeah.
So he's...
Yeah, but his jab, oh my god, dude, he's going to have no hips one day. He's going to wake up and he's going to...
His
both pop out.
kidneys just bounce against his fucking belly.
Yeah.
I'm 24 and I said belly.
His high school highlights are sick though.
Yeah. His dad's a loser.
That is true.
Just an
So is his
aside
dad's
on
best player.
the Pat McCaw chat. The Guangdong Southern Tigers are actually stacked. They've got Yi Jin Lian, They've got Marshall Brooks, Sonny Weems, and Jason Thompson.
Sonny Weems.
Where did he go to college? Where did Jason Thompson go to college?
Ryder.
What?
Did he go to Ryder?
You did?
Yeah.
Um,
What's Ryder?
The college.
hardly know it.
Murray State Riders.
They're so stacked with only
That's
fifth
funny.
Sean,
to the flying leopards.
would you,
Wuhan.
all shitting
White
aside,
Lucas.
all gasbagging aside, would you sit Steph game one? That was a mistake. Come on, man.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I would too, because I think the Warriors.
Would you?
Yeah, I would too.
Steve Kerr 3.0.
He said I would too.
Yeah, because the Warriors have genuine title aspirations this year, and you're not going to win 16 games if you play.
If he's injured,
yeah.
But if the training staff says, he's fully healthy, he's not going to get re-injured.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Because they're not going to
But if he's questionable the night before,
Yeah.
don't sit him.
But they hadn't told
If
you.
my grandma had the wheels, she would have been a bag.
Yeah. They didn't make the World Cup.
Dude, federal election, May 21.
He didn't know the bloody cash rate.
Bloody, what is it again?
5.4? Oh, sorry, I don't know.
This guy goes.
Ask me about the
15.
employment rate.
What's the
Yeah.
unemployment rate? 15%.
Oh my god, we were both having a joke.
I hadn't laughed for a
Oh, well, if
day.
you're talking about underemployment, then yeah, it's a different story
seriously.
altogether.
Underemployment, I didn't get started.
Anyway,
That was 1 hour of employment a week.
Top
fully
5 battle
employed.
states.
in
Will.
Australia.
So who-
Top 5 battle territories.
Who wins the series in how many games?
Golden State 6.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm taking Sean's team in 6.
If
So
Steph,
Denver in 6.
if Steph sits game 1, no, Warriors in 6.
What if Denver only get to make it a 5-game series and they don't get game 6 against Clay? I'm so mad I said that. Warriors in 7.
Alrighty. Wow.
Well, should we maybe just quickly wrap up with, who do we see coming out of each conference?
Or full brackets.
Oh, do we want to do full brackets?
I go on Powered by Puma
Let's
Basketball
brackets.
so you know it's
Dude,
good.
why was mine in French?
Because that was the only one you could do play-in.
Oh, you asked about my bracket.
Wow.
You mean the Mon bracket?
I'm just happy. I love that it says Monbrake, #trash talk bracket contest.
No, but also because my housemate came over and was like, "What the fuck's Lake?" Because right now I have Lake playing Same.
When it translates.
Because Same means Memphis.
What?
Yeah, and
It's
I've got-
Google Translate.
Yeah, Key is Cavs.
Wow.
KEY. Yeah.
The more you know, I guess.
Yeah. So I've actually got no one. Yeah.
So do you want to go first then, Sean?
How
many- how
I
many-
have the Warriors beating the Bucks in 6.
So filthy.
Bucks being the Suns in 7.
Shut up, bro.
Never mind. I got the Bucks beating the Suns in 6.
I got the Suns beating the Bucks in 7.
I've got the Suns beating Toronto in 5.
Wow.
Fucking hang on.
Spiced up a bit.
Give us your Eastern Conference bracket. Yon bracket.
No, I think it's probably the Bucks. In all seriousness, it probably is the Bucks. The Bucks are gonna have the easiest path to the finals.
Yeah.
I think of anyone.
I thought this season was sick, and then when I made this bracket, I was like, God, the Bucks can kind of walk into the finals.
The
They
East,
should.
the East
Yeah.
low key fell off for real. For real. Like I reckon.
Is he goated with the sword?
I reckon 2 months ago, Milwaukee would have been like my 3rd or 4th team to come out of the East. Not for any reason than I just thought other teams were better than them, obviously. But yeah, I feel like just questions, Miami and Philly in particular, questions have started to show up. Brooklyn have finished 7th. Boston, I feel like people still don't really believe that they're like even a conference finalist, given the way that the bracket is broken. And yeah, like I don't know, could it be Could it be these two teams in the finals for the next 2 or 3 years? What do you reckon?
Yeah, right. As long as the Suns win.
Yeah, this is your Cavs line. And then they're gonna go sign Jason Tatum in free agency next year or something.
That'd be so annoying. It'd be so annoying to have to root for Juice though.
The Bucks, but the Bucks have only like been good in the playoffs for 6 games. So there's a real chance that like
4 even.
Well, yeah, okay. Oh no, it was like the last Nets game and then the Phoenix games.
Yeah.
The Hawks games.
And the what?
The Hawks games.
No, they beat the Hawks just because like the Hawks were worse than them. I don't think they were like pounding the Hawks because Budenholzer decided to go 47 minutes with Giannis. But like they're sleepwalking through the season. It's like, oh yep, they've done it. They finally got it. They figured it out. Like they might get into the playoffs and still do the 35-minute bullshit and lose in the second round because Budenholzer didn't learn his lesson, despite the fact that the lesson ended in a ring. So like genuine chance that they don't sleepwalk through it. If they have any semblance of some brain cells, they will sleepwalk through it. But Giannis, here's your 44 minutes. Dunk on them. Dunk on your opponent 20 times. Average your 40 points. And we'll be in the finals again. But there's a real chance that they just don't do that.
You know, when he gets to the finals, JaVale McGee will be there to meet him. And it'll be a different story.
Amen, brother.
All right, cool. Any final points?
Yeah, I got some trivia.
Right.
Let me just pull it up.
Someone says trivia and you immediately pull out your phone. That says something to me. That says something to me that like...
Are you looking at more than the silhouette, maybe?
Yeah, literally.
How do I look up a silhouette, Mark?
I see his tabs and it's like Cavs roster. On the roster.
Well, for asking questions, which one is it, Holden or Jeffrey?
Sean, that was fucking hilarious. Does anyone want to guess Giannis's minutes per game through the playoffs last season?
43.
37.
35.
34.
The season before, it was 30.8 minutes per game. Now, that is including the 11-minute game he must have gotten injured in.
I thought you said playoffs.
I did say playoffs.
Oh.
Season before, he averaged 33 minutes in the games he was healthy. Last season, 38. Very close. Still not enough. Still just playing 43 minutes.
Yeah, that's a lot of Sterling Brown, isn't it?
Bruce Brown.
What?
No more trivia. It was just that one piece of trivia.
Yeah,
So what do I win now?
This
There you go.
hat.
That I'm wearing.
Oh.
Thanks, YouTube.
Well, unless anyone wants to spring any last minute rush trivia on us.
I do. Sean and I want to plug our new shirts, which Marco, you and Lucas have so beautifully repped throughout this whole episode. We're selling merch now. We're doing these 6 shirts. They're $45 a pop. We have very limited supply. So
Well, you didn't say that before.
Hang on, my sweat all over. How stressful these hour and 45-minute podcasts are.
No vaccines.
Imagine the guy that has to edit it.
Poorly.
Sorry, it's got 12 hours.
Inside joke.
No offense.
So how can our listeners get these shirts? Not that they want to.
Get in touch. Jump on Instagram. Send us a DM. Get in touch. We're gonna do a proper launch later in the week. We have done a little bit of a pre-sale, so there's like I said, limited supply. So jump on our Instagram at the Deep2, and let us know that you want one. Lock it up. Don't be late.
And now that you can see them, we got hats still available. This one's just for show.
Alright, cool. Well, Dante, Sean, Alessio, Lucas, Marco. Thanks for joining me once again. Check those guys out on the deep2.net or whatever it is. And yeah, we'll speak soon.
Leeds.